What are some rich people problems that poor people don't understand? My rich friend has no kids, so he's trying to figure out how to spend all his money before he dies so it doesn't go to some cousins he doesn't like. If I just mention something I like, he'll buy it for me immediately. It's ridiculous. Figuring out how to give your kids everything they want without turning them into spoiled brats who are messed up for life. I used to work in fine art shipping, and rich people constantly call and ask if we could remind them which house we'd ship their expensive artwork to. They would have trouble remembering. Never really being sure whether your partner actually loves you or tolerates you because your money makes their life easier at times. Having all your accomplishments invalidated by the fact that you have money. I'm the first to recognize that I haven't had to face most of the barriers that others had, that I'm benefiting from incredible privilege. I'm eternally grateful for that. That said, I still think I have at least a bit of merit for the things I've done. I've known other people born into wealth who haven't done shit with their lives because they take everything for granted and think success is owed to them. Alternatively, having all your everyday life problems brushed away. For example, I understand that suffering from mental health issues is a lot easier when you can afford therapy, but it's still FKN hard at times and money doesn't magically make those go away overnight. As a woman, it can make it hard to navigate relationships because a lot of men still identify with the breadwinner role, the general guilt that comes with recognizing your privilege. I see a lot of my friends struggle with crippling debt and financial issues. I know I'm not personally responsible for this, and there isn't much I can do beyond helping out here and there, but it's very guilt-inducing to see how much this system is rigged against them, while simultaneously making it easier for me. That's it for my rich person problems. This is from a conversation I had with a guy I met on vacation. He had grown up fabulously rich, but he never really saw his parents that much, especially when he was a kid, as they were both high-achieving workaholics. Instead, he had a maid that had been there for as long as he could remember, put him to bed at night, breakfast in the morning, etc. So in his mind, he had two moms. The one that he met for dinner a few days a week, that demanded he brushed his hair and put on presentable clothes, and his real mom, the one that was always there, actually taking care of him. When he was 5 years old, the maid quit. She had gotten a better job somewhere else and was looking forward to spending more time with her actual kids. And everybody was happy for her. Everybody smiled and told him to be happy she was moving on to something better, as she hugged him goodbye and happily walked out forever. He lost his real mom, and he wasn't even allowed to feel bad about it. I met this guy when he was 27, and he was still struggling with it. Feeling like you can't talk about certain things with people who don't make as much. I'm not rich, but I make more than some friends. There have been times when I'll tell them about something and I get a sarcastic must be nice reception. There's a lot of isolation that comes with wealth, particularly if your wealth goes up more than your friends. It's minor at first and not such a big deal, but over time the gap becomes bigger and bigger, and it can start to become difficult to bridge that gulf. When you're younger, you might have been able to afford a small house when your friends, who are also doing well but not quite as well, are looking to buy an apartment a few years later, and you live in a bigger house, in a much nicer neighborhood than them. It's not that different, but your friends tend to come to yours more and often comment about how nice where you live is. You've known these guys for years. After all, some areas of conversation have gradually moved off the table. Your stresses and successes at work are going to be different to theirs. It's lonely at the top in companies as most people don't understand it. Why would they? It's stuff you only really get with experience. You do your best to talk about their work worries, but while you used to get it, it's starting to become hard to stay interested. Interpersonal work dramas aren't the same anymore. They seem so minor compared to the weight of leadership and livelihoods that you feel. So you don't really talk about that stuff anymore, which is fine. There's lots of other stuff you have in common, except the overlap in interests starts to lessen. Some of your interests have crept into higher income things. You used to go on similar holidays, but now you're going further afield and having more luxurious holidays because you work hard and only get so much time off. So why shouldn't you spend your hard-earned money on yourself? Maybe you used to like to talk about cars, but now it's a bit awkward talking about the car you're looking at getting because it's more than the house deposit your friends just spent ages saving up for. Okay, maybe gaming, but you've got the latest console or computer because you got it on launch without batting an eyelid at the price, and you can't play the new games you'd like with them. Little areas of your commonality is gradually getting chipped away. Then the big gulf is when you have kids. Maybe your friends have had kids too. After a while, it sinks in that your kids are going have a completely different experience growing up to your friends' kids. Just because they'll be growing up in a much wealthier neighborhood, it doesn't matter how much you're going to try to keep them grounded. They're just going to have way more opportunities. They're going to go to a better school, interact with much more affluent families, and generally grow up in a completely different lifestyle. They're probably even going to talk differently. You might still feel like you're not that different from your friends, but your kids are probably going to be very different to those of your old friends. Eventually, you grow further and further apart from your old friends. You make new friends in your neighborhood or other parents from their school. It all feels a little bit forced and not as natural as you used to be with old friends. You still meet up with them maybe once or twice a year. Most of your time together is spent reminiscing. On the whole, you're happy and comfortable with your life, but you still really miss your old friends in the good old days. A friend of mine married into a family that has old money. Was never my friend's intention. Just turned out that the awesome down to earth person friend married was from serious old money. Two of the adult children in the family are currently trying to stop their parent from buying random houses for other rich families' kids. They don't even want the money, they want the parent to invest in philanthropy and the local community. Parent won't do it and just wants the rich kids from other families to be grateful to them. So somewhere out there, some people my age from a wealthy family are getting a free house from another wealthy family. Meanwhile, my partner's unemployment ran out. We have about 2 months runway before we have nothing. We are picking groceries carefully to save a few dollars. Houses in our area have gone up $50k in the past year, and we may as well be renters forever. It's surreal. Not being able to understand what money means to people below their financial status. I'm well off compared to other people in my country, but go to a school where most people are actually wealthy. Between both levels, I see that people cannot relate to the people below them in that regard, and it causes friction. Like when my friend and I organize a holiday together, she doesn't understand why I get annoyed when she wants to wait until the last minute to book tickets, because she genuinely doesn't care whether they're 50 or 500 euros. Or when my partner's family's car got stolen, they didn't bother getting a reimbursement from the insurance because it was too annoying to set up. This means people also sometimes don't reimburse you when you pay for lunch because they already forgot about this. And for them $30 is nothing, so why would it be for you? And they don't notice when you get them a really nice gift, because all the gifts they get are really nice. This isn't malicious at all, just a genuinely different perception of reality. Not rich myself, but I have a family member who earns low 7 figures annually. Biggest problem they've struggled with is that our whole family comes from being poor, and they're the one that made it. They've had to cut off entire parts of the family, including siblings and parents, because everyone just wants stuff from them. One of their parents demanded they buy them a home because you owe me for raising you. It's even worse from their siblings. They have keep their social media feed on a week-long delay, so if they travel anywhere that other family members are, they won't hit them up with a new scheme or asking for a loan. It's terrible to watch. I grew up poor. Father worked in flea market, and I make mid 300s now, and household income is around $450k. Wouldn't say I'm filthy rich or anything, but I have seen both sides of the coin. The main thing I noticed is this: you compare yourself to your peers, and when you're wealthy, your peers are wealthy, and you often feel like you're falling behind your friends, even when you're at 5-10x median income. I went to a top MBA, and many of my close friends are effing killing it, millions of dollars in startup equity, consulting partners, directors at firm. I compare myself to these people, not the people I knew growing up. I remember wanting to impress my high school friends and peers when I started this journey, but honestly I haven't even thought about them in a decade. I'm actually leaving a job I enjoy that paid $235-250k for a new job because I felt like I needed more money and more senior title. I often feel just average. I remember growing up and thinking if I made $60k by 40 I'd be rich. I guess that's be around $90k now, inflation adjusted, and I'm only 34. Second thing I noticed is this: rich people live in rich neighborhoods, which tend to eat up a lot of income. If I stay in Manhattan, or if I move to Westchester, minimum I can spend on a house and live near my friends and peers is like $1.4 miles. Can't really move to Elkhart area because my job mostly only exists in New York City. Then with daycare costs and private schools, Nick public school system is not that much left over, even with moderate spending habits elsewise. But look, compared to being poor, having money is great. I have outsourced everything I hate doing. I can afford healthy food and fitness. I walk to work for a 12-minute commute. I take taxis everywhere and don't need to take mass transit. My apartment is huge. I go on multiple international vacations a year. I have a high degree autonomy at work. I'll retire early. I enjoy the status that comes with all this. I still remember being a low status poor kids and having people at the front desk follow me around because they thought I'd steal. I have much better friendships and relationships than I had growing up. Have a kick-ass wife, so I guess no real complaints.